Hello, I am live, but from a slightly different location today. I've come into the Audio Imperia offices, slash studio, slash general location of goodness. So yeah, I'm here today. Very fun. And this might become something that happens more frequently. I'm sure we'll mix it up. I'll still be in my studio for some streams. But we thought it was going to be good fun to do one here today. We wanted to test, see how it works. If there's any teething troubles today, anything goes wrong, anything is a little bit suspicious, I apologize in advance, but we're sort of just feeling out how this all works inside our studio. And hopefully it's going to be all fine, all good. Let me know if you can hear everything, if there's any issues. I can see if I can fix anything. Today is going to be a good, fun one. We're going to be doing some scoring, which we haven't really done on the stream for quite a while. In fact, I'm not sure we've ever really scored to picture. But we're going to give that a little go today. And it's going to be pretty minimal, but I think it's going to be good fun. I think it's going to be a really good use of some of the libraries inside our anniversary collection. So if you don't know, we have a sale on at the moment. Head on over to the Audio Imperia website. There's no logic. It's all Cubase, and it's on PC. I'm still on PC. They did allow me that. I told them I'm not coming in. I refuse to get out of my house unless there's a PC waiting for me. So I'm on PC. I'm not averse to using Macs. I'm sure I'm going to get around to using a Mac at some stage. Ollie's saying, who let Adam steal my desk? Yeah, I'm lying. They didn't actually invite me in. I've broken in, and now I've locked the door, and they can't get in. So, yeah, we're barricaded in until Ollie finds a way to pick the lock. He may make an appearance at some point today. You know, if he manages to get through the door, then he's probably going to come say hello. But yeah, this is going to be a fun one today. So let me just break it down. We're going to be doing, obviously, if you guys don't know the iconic image to the left of me, I guess, it's Alien. We're going to be doing an Alien-style score today, but it's going to be an original piece of music. It's going to be following a lot of the kind of techniques and principles of the incredible Jerry Goldsmith score, but we're going to probably update it a little bit, just naturally, because we're working in a different workflow. We'll maybe add some subtle synth elements, or maybe some more kind of cinematic sub-style stuff, you know, but we're going to keep it pretty faithful to the kinds of techniques that Jerry Goldsmith used. If you guys haven't seen Alien Earth yet, which is the new TV series, it's really good. What I've seen so far is really good, but also the soundtrack, Jeff Russo's soundtrack, is really good as well, and does exactly what we're kind of going to do today, which is take all the great stuff of the kind of late 70s soundtrack of Jerry Goldsmith, maybe try and give it a little update, but not so much that it's unrecognizable. It's still going to be mostly based on that great you know, score of the 70s, late 70s, 1979 Alien came out. I have here with me the original score, which we're not really going to be referencing today, but I just thought it was so cool I bring it in, and I've been studying it in lead up to this stream. It's such a great score, and if you guys like reading scores, you like, you know, studying scores, this is an incredible one. In fact, any Jerry Goldsmith one is incredible, but this one in particular, because it's such a classic score, so many incredible orchestral techniques in there to create horror and things. This was also a big inspiration when we were coming up with Constrictor, I think, which I'll probably be using a lot today. When we were thinking about articulations for Constrictor, we looked far and wide in terms of different orchestral techniques, but one of the sort of inspirations foremost in my mind was Jerry Goldsmith, and particularly Alien, because it just sounds so incredible, and to this day it holds up. And Jerry Goldsmith's a really, really interesting composer as well, because he sort of, before there were DAWs, before there was software, before there was a whole debate about Mac or Windows, he was kind of one of the first to really experiment with sound design and kind of mangling the orchestra up in interesting ways. Hey guys, and I am reading, sorry, so Cosmo is saying no time for some music. Hopefully so, yes. And good music. I'm hoping it's going to be good anyway. Big M T Brain says, Houston says, hey, y'all. Hey, hi, Andy. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Yeah, it's really great to have all you guys with me. So as I was saying, yeah, Jerry Goldsmith, long before there was any such thing as a DAW or really working inside of computers, was attempting to do different things with the music. He used to use different sound effects. He'd have synths inside the studio playing live with the orchestra. He'd record bits of the orchestra and kind of put them through delay pedals and stuff. Really, really innovative stuff. And that's kind of maybe what singles him out from someone like John Williams, who obviously was equally, perhaps probably more famous at that time. But those two were really two of the titans of scoring at that time. But whereas John Williams was much more traditional, Jerry Goldsmith was not afraid to mix things up and try different things. And as a result, his scores are are quite unique and hold up in some ways more interestingly these days because of all these different techniques. How do you generally work on new devices? Do you save your Cubase workflows or shortcuts as a config file and carry it around with you? That's one way of doing it. With this, I just started from scratch again, but I didn't have too much to put in. You'll see I haven't got everything that I've got in my normal template today when we move over in a second, but I've got enough. And you could definitely save a project file or kind of configuration file from other setups and bring them in and install them onto Cubase. That all works fine. So you can transfer key commands and things like that. I haven't done that, so this may be a little bit clunky today, but I think it's going to be fine. We're in Cubase 14. We've got most of what we normally have, and anything we don't have, we have it on the computer so we can upload it. And we'll probably use some libraries we haven't used much in the last few months as well today. Hey, Harrison, thanks for joining us. Yeah, this is going to be cool. I'm going to move over to the door. We're going to have a look at the setup for today and sort of get started. And this is going to be a relaxed one today. We might do a minute of music. We might do 5 minutes of music. I'm kind of hoping to get at least 3 or 4 minutes in because it's quite minimal. But there's really nothing that we have to achieve. We're just going to score almost as we would if we were working on a real project. So here is the door. You can see we've got our video player up today. Now, we've been having a couple of issues with the video player, so I'm hoping it's going to hold up. If it doesn't, we may need to go back to just chatting and reload everything up. But I'm kind of hoping that it's going to be fine. I'm just going to save this just in case. Maybe that'll help. And you can see we've got the bare bones of our setup today. We've got a few things that I'm thinking I'm going to use more than usual. Things like Poseidon, because it's got some incredible wave things in there that I think we can really make use of. A lot of Constrictor, so I think Constrictor is going to be part of the profile today. And as I said, Constrictor, a lot of it was based on things that I loved from Jerry Goldsmith and other composers like that. So there's some stuff in here that's really inspired by Alien, so I think it's going to work perfectly. Hey, Sean. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, it's going to be really cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch maybe the first minute of the scene. There's actually 3 sections to this that I want to look at. We're going to see how far we get. We've got a really basic section here. Then as we go through, we've got this section. So it just ends around here. We've got this section starting here. Leads us up to the big reveal. If you guys haven't seen Alien, I'm going to be spoiling some things for you, but I think most of you will know some of these scenes. And then we're going to maybe do a bit at the end if we've got time. But I'm really interested in these first 2 sections today. The first section is going to be really minimal. You know, there's hardly anything going on. And then the second section is going to be a little bit more maybe musical, but still pretty minimal. Hey, Paul, thank you very much for joining us. Yeah, glad that you're with us too. It's so cool to have everyone with us today. So what I've done is I've created an isolated vocal and some sound effects from the video. So we're going to hear just the sound effects and the vocals or the dialogue and see the video. We're going to watch maybe the first minute or so. We're going to go up to about, I think it's going to be here first off. This is in the original film. This is where the music ends. And it's a really good point because we get this static and we move into the kind of point of view perspective. And one of the great things about Alien is how well the music is used. There's actually not a ton of music, and there are whole sections where you don't have any music, but that means as soon as the music comes back in, it has so much more impact. So let's have a listen to the first sort of minute or so. This is what we're going to score first.
Very bizarre. What do you say, boss? Huh? All right. Moving on to second position.
What is it? Let's get out of here.
We've got this far. We must go on. We have to go on. Will you say that again?
As you can see, this is our drive.
I'm going back to the console.
Seems to be solid. Walk. You okay, Lemon?
Dallas.
Okay, so we're going to be going up to here about 1 minute and 40, but we're not necessarily going to be writing wall-to-wall music here. It's all pretty sparse texturally. So we're really just going to focus on creating a really basic sort of eerie soundtrack to go with this. If you listen to the original, not much is going on, but everything that is going on, it's very eerie, very interesting. Now, there's just a couple of beats that I think we need to hit here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to grab my locators, I'm going to bring them all the way to here, and I'm just going to make a Q1. Here it is. I'm going to go into the inspector and call this Q1. This is how I would start working normally. So I've got locators roughly where I know this needs to end. I'm going to end it where the last one ends, or the original piece ends, which is around here. I'm just going to very quickly, 1 second, take you back, just chatting 1 second, and make sure. Yeah, that's all cool. Sorry, I was just checking that something was working there, which I think it is. Cool. Okay, we're back in the door. So we're going to go to here. This is how I would start working. I've got my cue set up here. There's only 1 or 2 things that I really want to make a note of here. The first is this cut. This is the first time, if you watch this, we go all these kind of weird camera shots, and it's all very claustrophobic and all very dark and very kind of scary and tense. And then we get to this shot here. This is the first time we get a really wide shot, and it's really impactful. And I think in the original, but certainly what I'm going to do is mark that with something quite big. So I'm going to put in my notes. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to go into my notes, and I'm going to put, make sure I'm actually connected to the right one. Go in here and put wide shot impact. So the impact's not going to be like crazy impactful. We're not going to go on full on trailer hits or anything. Hey, you scrubbing through the video. So I can literally just go to the timeline here and just scrub through like this. If you go to the top and you click, I can just go along like this, and I can find the different points that I want. And then when I'm putting my markers in, I can go G and H are the shortcuts here to zoom in and zoom out, and I can really make sure that I get these shots exactly where I want them. So it's literally that frame there that I would want. So I just move this back here. There we go. I'm just going to save semi-regular with this. Like I said, if we do get any issues with this, then let me know. But hopefully it's going to be okay. Now, I'm not worried about what the original happened in the original. I do kind of remember the score, but I deliberately didn't listen to it too much because I wanted to just sort of approach this my own way, but I do remember some of the things that went on. So this first part's probably going to be pretty minimal, and we're going to update it slightly. We're going to do a few things that aren't in the original, because, you know, obviously Jerry Goldsmith is working with piano, pencil, orchestra. You know, there wasn't a door, there wasn't any of that stuff. It would be very interesting to see how he worked if he used more of those things. I think later on in his life he did a little bit, but he's also always quite a traditional composer. So, okay, we need to think of something we want to do here. What I'm thinking is, because we want this impact here, and because we want the cue to restart somewhere around here later on, let me just come up here. This is around where the cue restarts, I think. Yeah, maybe around here somewhere. So what I'm thinking is, I want this to be fairly minimal, and I'm kind of wanting something more sound design based maybe, and kind of atonal, weird. So I'm thinking about maybe using something like Constrictor. Let's see what we've got. I'm going to load up a couple of patches in the basses. I'm thinking about starting with basses, and we've got these cluster sustains here. So let's just see what we have going on. So we're looking for something. Let's get. Would you first get to the time domain before you drop your points? If not, it could alter when you change tempo. No. So in Cubase, there's an interesting way of working. These shouldn't change. Cubase has 2 modes of working. You can see up here on my left, you've got musical and linear. Now, this gets a bit complicated. I'm thinking of adding a module or a lesson to our Modern Composer Blueprint course that goes through this. But Cubase can alter the way that you do things. If you're in musical mode, the MIDI data and the data will move with the music. In other words, the bars and the beats and the tempo. And that way then you can shape things. So if you decide to cut a few seconds out of a score, or you want to move things around by bars and tempo, you could do that by keeping things in musical mode. If you move to linear mode, things will be linear. They won't be to the grid, they will be to time. So something that starts at 20 seconds will stay at 20 seconds. And if the bars and the beats move around that 20 seconds, those things won't move, they will stick to the time. So Cubase is really good for this because it allows you to choose whether you want to move things according to time. In other words, you can fix things according to points in time, like maybe 20 seconds or 30 seconds or 21 seconds or 15 frames in, or whatever it might be. Or you can move things according to bars and beats. So you can say, this always has to start at bar 17, beat 1. And if bar 17 is made faster or slower, or there's bars removed, whatever, it will always conform to that particular point. It takes a little while to get your head around what this means, but it's a really, really good way of working, because it means if someone comes and says, I just want to speed up all of the music so that, you know, I've changed my edit slightly and now I just want to move everything by a couple of bars or a couple of beats, I can do that using linear mode, or I can do that using musical mode, whichever is going to be easiest. And as we work today, you're probably going to see a little bit of how this works. It does take some getting used to, and even I sometimes have a moment where I think, I'm not sure what I'm trying to do, but being able to toggle between these two, you can see here's time-based, so linear, and here's musical-based. Most of the time I'll stay in musical, but I can change things according to time, and that way it means that anything that I write in time mode or linear mode will always stay at that point in time. So yeah, that's quite useful. And as I said, I'm probably going to do an expanded module or lesson in Modern Composer Blueprint at some point. Try and explain that a bit more, because it's a big part of scoring. Okay, so let's maybe try something like pitching this down. I love doing this for Constrictor. We've got these cluster sustains. We could maybe use the sol pont sustains. It's cool, right? Just find something that works, or do we want normal sustains? Or we could try maybe tremolo sustains. I think that's too much movement for the beginning. We want to keep things sort of fairly. I was quite liking these sol pont sustains. Let's maybe even try and go 24 down. So the time mode Cosmodium here, these should always be, as far as I remember, linked to time and not beats. So let's just double check, make sure that does in fact work. If I put a tempo map here, it's my tempo map, here we go. So if I change or slow the tempo down, okay. So you can see those things are staying in time. They're never moving according to, or rather the other way around, they're moving according to the bars and the beats. Yeah, so I should be able to change that. Let me just see, you know, I've completely forgotten how to do that now. We shall fix it as we go, don't worry. Let's just keep going through here. And you can change these things, musical and linear, you can change before and after, and you can change them interchangeably as well. So you don't have to be stuck in one particular mode or another. So if I wanted to do something in musical, then move to linear, we can do that. Okay. So let's listen as well. Something else that we should do when we're making music is think about the sound effects and think about the dialogue as well. As a composer, you would be working with the other sound elements. So
Very bizarre. What do you say, boss? Huh?
you can hear that quite a lot of this is in the mid-range, right? It's not too high, it's not too low. We don't have big bass here, or we don't have really high sound effects either. So we're probably going to want our music to sit somewhere either low or high, or maybe both of those places. We'll see how it goes. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this. I'm going to write in a nice long line here. Just open this like this. Pop this out a second. Move this over here like this. So I'm going to make a really long note here. I'm just going to stretch that out and I'm going to render it to audio. So that's why I'm not too worried about the time. Okay, let me just move this a second. Up here, and then come down here. Maybe a bit where we're trying to move the screen around today to keep everything in the screen, and maybe moving this around a bit. So if anything is obscuring your view or you want to see anything else, just let me know. I'm going to render this in place, render with the current settings. Okay. Okay, nice. Let's see what we've got going on here. Yeah, so let's make this a little bit louder. And then we'll probably put some cello over that as well.
We've got this far, we must go on.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my mixer here. I'm going to bring down the the dialogue and music a little bit. Sorry, the dialogue and sound effects a little bit.
We have to go on.
Cool. And then I'm going to maybe add in something in the bases, or maybe I might just layer this. You know what I might do? I might just layer 2 of these like this. I haven't watched any yet tonight. I haven't watched any yet. Should I do it tonight? Yes, you definitely should. It's a classic. It's such a good film. Very creepy, obviously, but I mean, it's hard to understate or overstate how important a film it was in terms of, like, you know, modern sci-fi horror certainly all began with this film. You know, you'd had other sci-fi kinds of films, but nothing like this. Okay, nice. So these two together. Cool. And what I might do is just add a kind of filter to this. So if I get a frequency up here. Cool. You can see I'm just making some cuts in frequency here. And then I come in here and do the same sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah. But obviously not. There. That's kind of what I'm thinking of here. So let's see how this works with our dialogue and stuff. Let's just see if we've got something going on that we kind of like here. Seems simple, but sometimes simple is effective in what you need. So I'm going to just move these where I think they're going to need to start, which is pretty much right at the beginning of the piece here. So maybe around there, same thing here, trim this up and move this. Maybe do a little fade in here. A little fade in here, just so we don't get anything too abrupt, and see what this sounds like.
Very bizarre.
Nice. And then what I might do here, let's just try this, is put some kind of shimmer in. So we've got the onboard, I don't have my usual plugins today, but that's okay. We're going to make this stuff work, and we're going to want to bring this down, make this pitch maybe even -12 like that, and then just see what that sounds like. Yeah, something like that I think is working. Okay, cool. This is going to be a really simple opening.
Very bizarre.
Nice. Now I might just try woodwinds in here as well. Let's maybe go to solo bassoon. I'm going to do the same thing, enable this. I'm going to make a sound effect out of it. So I'm going to take it 24 down. I want everything low and maybe just some high flutes or a high pad or something. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and I'm just going to play this in, right? I don't want anything in particular. I just want these weird sounds kind of floating in and out. I'm just going to turn it up slightly. Everything's taking a little bit longer today, so I'm getting used to this setup, but I'm sure in time we'll be able to make it like the old setup, and then we'll be a bit faster. So I'm just increasing the gain of this. You guys can't see that, but I'm just increasing the gain of this. See how this all sounds kind of cool? And I'm just going to add a little bit more reverb to it. I might come into the advanced, change the reverb to something like a hall, boost it a little bit, just give it, yeah, something like that. It's just going to undulate really quietly in the background. We're going to play it in live. We're just going to see how it goes.
Very bizarre. Say, boss. All right. Moving on to second position.
What is it? Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on. Will you say that again?
As you can see, there is better to survive.
I'm going back to the console.
Cool. Okay, that kind of works. What I'm going to need to do here is just do this. We're not really hearing this too much, so I can crossfade these together, and that's just going to keep that going. And I can do the same thing here. Move this out a bit, crossfade these together, and then move that out a bit. Now, that woodwind was kind of working nicely. Let's just mute the sound a second and listen to the music. Yeah, nice, but I think what we'll do is just turn it down slightly here. Cool. Now what I'm thinking of doing here is just really, I don't want to use these too much, but just maybe once at this point is bringing in one of the Poseidon waves. So these waves are great, they kind of swell. This is from our newest brass library, Poseidon. That's really cool sound, right? And if I maybe do a cluster, so in other words, just lots of notes close together, they don't have to make any real sense. It's not about trying to find any particular sound. It's just about the cluster of tones close together. Instantly sounds kind of dramatic, right? And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to add a bit more reverb to these. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go to our advanced. I'm going to turn the reverb on. I'm going to go to hall. I think that should be enough. We don't want to swallow it with reverb because we want it to stand out a bit. I really want to save these for later on, but I think at this point in time, maybe just one moment we can do this. So let's just watch through, maybe even listen with the dialogue.
Say, boss. All right. Moving on to second position.
What is it? Let's get out of here.
See, I think that works really well there at that point, because, you know, you have her say, what is it? And then we can just have some kind of little moment there that just pops out a little bit, not too much.
Position.
What is it? Let's get out of here.
Nice. And we're just going to do the same thing in, I think, the horns as well. Horns low in their register. It's going to make a nice wide sound because you have the horns on the left and the kind of trombones on the right. Maybe we'll even do it in the trombones as well, the tenor trombones. This is in the bass trombones at the moment. We're acting as if we have 3 bass trombones, which is fine. For a score like this, you might have an odd orchestral setup. Going to do the same thing, and I'm just going to put the reverb on, put it onto hall, and that should probably be enough. And right around the same time, not worrying about the tempo for this first scene. As we go further on, we may worry about the tempo more, but because this is so impressionistic, I'm just writing it in quick. If I was scoring and needed to do 2 or 3 minutes of music a day, especially if I wasn't working in the orchestra, I may just get some stuff in impressionistically like this. So.
Second position.
What is it? Let's get out of here.
Now that's probably a bit too much there, but the idea is good. So what we can do, I'm just going to very quickly, I think if I go to my key commands, I should be able to do my key editor, open key editor. I should be able to make that my usual setup. Now, huzzah, yeah, that's working. That's what I wanted. I was getting really confused by not having that set up. Okay, so let's have a listen to those two together.
Position.
What is it? Let's get
That's
out of
still a little bit too high. I think maybe more like that. So
Position.
here. What is it? Let's get out of here.
yeah, that's cool, but more subtle, right? We really want to make it pretty subtle at the beginning here. And probably the same with this, although we'll do a little bit more here. So maybe we'll do a bit of a swell for this one in the dynamics as well. We don't want anything to be poking out too much.
Moving on to second. Position.
What is it? Let's get out of here.
Yeah, that kind of works. Just going to bring these up a little bit. I want more. Yeah, that kind of sounds cool.
Nice, if you can see.
Let's get out of here.
So-
What is it? Let's get out of here.
And here I think I'd want something to happen maybe in the flutes. Some kind of counter. We've had a lot of low stuff here. As we bring in this slightly less low, these kind of first big brass swells, maybe we're going to introduce some flute, I think. But we're going to do something that's very evocative of the Alien score. We're going to sort of treat these flutes with something like a shimmer. Now, shimmer wouldn't have been available in Jerry Goldsmith's day, but he would have had lots of incredible hardware reverbs. And we're going to maybe do something. I'm just going to show you the settings I'm using here. So let's have a little listen. That's kind of cool, right? I really love the way everything's been out of tune. Cool, I really like that. And maybe we'll bring some strings in there. I kind of want everything to start becoming a little bit more melodic at this point. So I'm going to add some more reverb to these as well inside of Nucleus. Yeah, that's really cool to me. And I think we might even push that a little bit more. Let's have a look. So in the mix and the reverb up a bit higher, I think. Modulation up a bit higher too. Yeah, that's kind of cool to me. So let's just have a little listen. This is going to come in right around here again. I'm not going to worry too much about tempo for this cue. As we go further through, we'll probably do a little bit more tempo mapping for the second part. Let's just see how this works. I think we're going to need to combine this with strings to make it work. It's going to be too exposed on its own.
What is it? Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on.
Something like that. So let's listen without the music. And we're probably going to want to turn those up a bit. I'm just going to do that inside of Contact. Be kind of quick and easy about it. So let's listen to what we've got here. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Just going to link them together. And we're kind of working to a beat here roughly, but we're not worrying too much about it at the moment. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So at this point, I think this is a little bit exposed, right? We have lots of low stuff. We have something pretty high, although those flutes are quite low in their own range. Hello, Adrian. Thank you for joining us. We're pretty low. So I think what we're going to want to do here is get something like violas and maybe find a sustain or something that works. And then I think we might put a pad under this whole thing. So let's just see what we've got. Let's just try. This is a bit too much, I think, this kind of stuff. Let's go to our cluster sustains and see. I think it's going to be something more likely to be there. So enable. Cluster sustains. But we want it quiet. Yeah, that could work, something like that. Let's see if we've got, maybe, do we have like a crescendo, a swell, maybe? Yeah, I like that, but that's, I think, a bit too early for that kind of stuff. So maybe if we do Yeah, that's quite cool. I like that. I think that's just going to help pad out some of the separation between the highs and the lows. So, okay, let's just bring them in just before the strings, I think. Before the woodwind, sorry. Nice. I think that works pretty nicely. Okay, so next thing I think I'm going to want to do here is I want to bring in a timpani, and a timpani just rolling constantly here. It's going to create this almost undulating sort of sound. So yeah, and maybe again, maybe we'll call this timpani FX. We'll make this like an FX an octave lower. That might work. This is where you can have fun with sound design like this. So maybe yeah, this could work nice. Let's just try it. Cool, we'll just leave it there for now. We can come back and finish the rest of that off, but we're just getting these sort of first sections in. That's certainly pretty cool. I'm going to reinforce that with the Grand Casa, which can do the same thing. So if we find where our Grand Casa sustain rolls are, E3. There it is. Nice. So again, really quiet here. We want both of these to be a little bit lower. And I might try the same thing, take this down an octave. I think that's going to sound pretty beefy. So, oh, maybe, no, we'll do 1 octave. Let's see. Let's try 2. You know what? That might work. It's almost like sound design. I like that. Let's just try it. We'll get to about the same point here. I'm just sort of blocking this stuff in bit by bit. Yeah, we'll get to there for now. Andy asks, does this library work for the contact-free version? Yes, Contact Player, it does work in Contact Player. I think most, if not all, our libraries do now, but certainly Constrictor does. Yep, so Contact, I think, 6 or 7, or 6 or above, rather, I should say. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Okay, this is starting to come quite nicely together. Now, maybe let's try. I'm not sure this is going to work, but let's just see. We can add some kind of modern sound design element to this. Yes. I instantly think that's going to add loads to this. And again, Jerry Goldsmith was using a lot of drones and things, but obviously not in Contact. You know, there's no such thing as that there, not using sample libraries. He was creating them on synthesizers like the ARPs and things like that. Again, in this score, it's all there, kind of the synthesizers he used and what he got them to do. Really fascinating stuff. But he was using the early equivalent of Contact, basically, that kind of stuff. You know, he was having to record it all live, but he was doing that kind of thing. I'm going to record this all in. My site right now, I love the libraries. How could I miss this? Been using mostly Spitfire. Well, great. I'm glad you like the libraries. And yeah, we've got a big sale on. Obviously, this is using stuff from our anniversary collection, but some of this will be in the other bundles as well. So do check them out. Okay, I'm going to make this. I'm just going to write this in. Nice long note. Yeah, it's a good time to pick up if you haven't, because we have our 10-year sale on. So happy birthday us. And hopefully that means good gifts for you guys as well. If you've been looking for some sample libraries and things, there's some really good bundles with lots of cool stuff. And I think we've done a couple of streams on different bundles and what you can get at the different bundles. So do go check it out. Okay, I'm going to render that in place. We should have a nice beefy drone here. Yes, in fact, this may even form the core of our piece here. Right, I mean, this sounds great. I'm just going to open up my mixer and give that a bit more gain in here. And I can always scooch it around as I need. This is great because this is like an alien sound, you know, combined with those strings. I think it's going to give us some motion and some of that resonant stuff that we've been missing. So let's maybe just see how this works. Yeah, nice. Adds a lot. Without that, we want all this stuff. Oh, thank you, Andy. Yeah, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants here and kind of copying some of the techniques that Jerry Goldsmith would have used. Yeah, this is starting to come together nicely now, I think. But you're going to bring that down a bit. Bring these up slightly. I like the woody kind of texture of these, but pitched down. So let's have a little listen to where we've got to with our vocals here, just to get a sense of how this is all working.
Very bizarre. What do you say, boss? All right. Moving on to second position.
What is it? Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on.
Okay, nice. Now I'm just starting to fix everything up that is kind of not quite right. I'm going to fix them. I'm going to bring them down a little bit. And I'm also maybe going to add in some cello there as well. I feel like we're missing something lower down. So I'm going to use the cluster swells here. Nice, but less than that. Yeah, like that, but low down, low down. So like this.
Position.
What is it? Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on. Will you say that again?
Okay, nice. I like that. So I'm thinking of introducing like a kind of high string motif here. I might do that on Dolce, you know. So I'm going to open up these nucleus strings called nucleus, but I'm going to change them to Dolce. Why? Because Dolce is just so cinematic. So I'm going to use maybe the sustained consortinos. That might work nicely. Maybe just something like that. I'm really going to sort of push the reverb of these a little bit. Because we have, so again, general rule of thumb, this is obviously not exact, but general rule of thumb is that if you have sparser arrangements, you can get away with more reverb because there's more space for everything to occupy. If this was a really dense arrangement with short strings and percussion and choir and lots of stuff going on, reverb would get kind of lost. But here we have fewer things going on, so reverb, spaces for things to sit in makes more sense. So I'm just going to maybe play around with this and see if I can get something that I like. I'm just kind of improvising. This is a really nice way of working.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on. Will you say that again?
As you can see, there's a dark to survive.
I'm going back to the console.
And then there, I think something like that. So starting to build this up nicely here. Okay, so let's come up here and just record this in.
Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on.
Oh, let me just go back a little bit because I think I sort of missed where I really wanted to come in there. It's going to be around here. Let's get all those swells and stuff. Okay.
What is it? Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on. Will you say that again?
As you can see, there's a dark to survive.
I'm going back to the console.
There is kind of where we want everything to hit. So you can see we've got our point there. There it is. So that's what we're trying to get to. So I can even just sort of bring that in line. And again, I haven't used tempo map for this one. If we get into the second one, we will. So that was quite nice. I might put that an octave higher and then just do an octave lower. And I think with this, I don't want, there we go. Oh, I don't have my octaves here. That's okay, I can just do it the good old fashioned way.
Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on.
And what I think I'm going to do here is duplicate this, call this Dolce Violins 1, Dolce, duplicate, make a Violins 2. Here we go. Okay, and I'm going to bring those an octave down. Nice, and I'm going to change them to Violins 2. Why not? We have a Violins 2 inside of Dolce. Seems silly not to use it. Dolce is really cinematic, even though it's a smaller violin or a smaller string section. It's really cinematic. So this should now start to sound a little bit fuller.
Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on. Will you say?
Now, I want them to come down a little bit earlier. And I just want another sort of brief swell there. So something like that. Yeah, something like that will do. But like maybe not quite as intense as the first swell. So it could just be maybe on the trombones again. Let's just try it. And then if not, we'll support it with other instruments. Yeah. Yes, okay.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on. Will you say that again?
As you can see, there's a dark.
Okay, that's really subtle. We'll beef it up a little bit with our horns. I think we can put it on the horns too. So maybe up here. Maybe use these. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so.
We have to go on. Will you say that again?
As you can see, there's a dark.
Yeah, nice. And now for the second time, I think I know what I want to do. I want to cut this. I want to grab it, copy it, and just move it over to our flutes. Reinforce with the flutes, or maybe other woodwinds, we'll see. But not that loud. That's a bit too much for the beginning. Let me just change this to my parabola. There we go. So maybe we'll use some volume control here to fix this if we need to, because these are pretty high in the mix here. I'm just going to be lazy and use volume control. Let's see how that sounds.
We have to go on. Will you say that again?
As you can see, there's a dark to survive.
I'm going back to the console.
Yeah, nice. That's cool. See how it just gives us that little sort of edge right at that moment there. But we want it to be subtle, and we need that to come. There we go. That's nice. So.
No, will you say that again?
As you can see, this is not going to survive.
I'm going back to the console.
And we're going to need that drone to continue. That's easy done. Just crossfade that up to this point, and then we'll see what we want to do, but we'll just cut it out there for now.
I'm going back to the console.
There, I think I know what I want to happen. I'm going to copy Jerry Goldsmith. So Jerry Goldsmith does this incredible thing in the main score. It's something like this. I'm not saying this is going to be exactly right, but it's going to be something like this. Let's find on the basses first. Open up our atonal. Find maybe something like something like that, or maybe the random stubs. There, I think that's the one. And he uses a real simple delay. That's a bit fast. We'll go to sync mode. That kind of thing. Nice. And we're just going to use a reverb. I'm going to have to use, I could use Pro, but no, we'll use Reference here. We'll just use the onboard reverb. Nice. We're going to want to go maybe 50-50 with that. Slow down even more. So let's find the one that we like here. And we can go to the Advanced tab. I think it's going to be that one. So I think I can take the rest of these off. Nice way of just choosing the one that you like. And now it won't go through the round robins. So I can always choose this one. And I want that to come in pretty much right on this shot here. So I'll bring this back down a second. Here it is, our shot. We haven't done any tempo map for now. That's fine. For this cue, we don't need to. Probably should have done, but sometimes I just get lazy and want to write fast. So there, right there. Come in and really zoom this in. There it is. Literally that change there. And just snap that to our cursor there. And that's going to, if we add a bit of build up to that, that's going to be a real nice. Right, that's going to be a real cool moment. And we'll supplement that with something from Araya, which I really like. So I'm not actually going to use half the instruments that I'm using today. I'm going to take these basses that are nucleus, and they sound very nice, but I'm going to go to Araya. I'm going to go into our, what do we want here? Our double basses, not performance legato. We want our core techniques. And we've got our double basses here. What I should be able to do is replace them. Oh, ignore. Is this going to work? Maybe it's not going to work. It's not going to work. That's because I haven't got everything set up here properly. Maybe these will work. Let's see. Array of Light's going to be just as good as well. Looks good. I think Array of Light, yeah, has... Yeah, maybe something like that. Let's just see. Or maybe in the full ensemble might be better. Just want a little moment of attack there. So something like that. There it is. So it's this moment here. There, right on that jump there. Oh, I'm changing the pitch there. Don't want to change the pitch. I want to change the velocity, which is here. Just to give us a little bit more accent. Is this scene already without music? No, this scene does have music. I managed to sneakily get the music out of there. But this scene does have music. So you can see if you go, it'll be on YouTube. If you want to check it out, you can see kind of the original music and then the music we've done. It's not too different, made some slightly different choices, but a lot of it's along the same lines. Nice. And that's coming along pretty well. I think I really want to grab that, and I really want to make it much more reverby. We can really sort of drown it, maybe 80%. Kind of want it to be in the background.
I'm going back to the console.
Cool. So, okay. Now we're just going to want to do
As you can see, this is
a couple of things.
I'm going back to the console.
What I'm going to want to do is duplicate this timpani. I'm going to call this FX as well. This is not going to be an FX timpani. This is going to be a normal timpani. Oh, spelling everything wrong here. Oh, don't worry about that. Okay. I'm going to change this as well. Otherwise, I'll just not be able to sleep. Okay, delete that. Go in here, make this back to a normal timpani. Now, yeah, something like that. Maybe let's just try it as the 12. No, I think the normal. And then maybe actually we'll use maybe the, yeah, that might work. That might work. Okay, so I'm gonna just record that out. Solo this, record it out like that, and then I can go in and I can render in place. So now I can just time this nicely with what's going on here. Easy way to work. I'm going to move this down a second. So we're going to want this to be pretty much right there. Let's just see if that works. Oh, no, it's there. So hold on. There. Just tiny bit forward. Yeah, that looks good to me. Cool. And I'm going to pop the same reverb on here. So I'll just bring this down. I'm going to grab this reverb. I'm going to put this right back into space.
you can see, this is
I'm going back to the console.
Yeah, and then we're just going to need to boost the volume of that. We're losing it a bit. So I'm going to put that up 10 decibels.
I'm going back to the console.
Okay.
I'm back to the console. I'm going back to the console.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The console.
We're going to do the same thing, but this is going to be the more important part, I think. Which is here. This is going to be not FX, this is going to be normal. So, oh, maybe we'll do -12, maybe, I don't know. We'll see what works, but we're going to do the same thing here and find, where is it going to be? There. So, yeah, that's going to give us that nice sort of beefy weight there. Cool. That's all we need. Render that one out as well. Render, render, render. There it is. Make that nice and big and sort of line that up as well. Back a bit further than that. Back even further than that. That looks good to me. And I'm going to use the same reverb here as well. I'll just boost that up in volume. Okay, cool. That should add some weight there. Then we'll need to do a few other bits and pieces. What happened to my video? Let me just... Hopefully we won't have any issues with this video player now. We're going to see. There it is. Phew.
as you can see, this is
I'm going back to the console.
Yeah, nice. And then what I'm going to do here is use something like... Poseidon's very beautiful, got these great waves. We can combine it with something like maybe just the Jaeger trombones or the low brass. Maybe let's just try the... In fact, no, I know what we're going to do. Not Jaeger, not Nucleus. We're going to use Talos. Because Talos has in the low brass and the French horns, I think, these great swells or crescendos. Beautiful. That's going to be really cool. So we can just use that to kind of emphasize this big moment here. And again, I might just record this out.
No, will you say that again?
As you can see, there is a dark out to survive.
I'm going back to the console.
Nice. And then we'll just render them out, get them where we want them to be. I'm just going to add a little bit of reverb to them as well. Because I don't have my normal reverb, so I'm just hacking the reverb as we go. But I think it's going to be fine. Really quite as much on them, maybe more like 50. And then bring that down and make sure this is landing where we want it to. This is going to be right around there. Sweet. Okay, let's have a little listen. Probably bring that down a tiny bit. Don't want it to be too intense.
As you can see, there is a dark out to survive.
I'm going back to the console.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Just back a tiny bit again, I think. And I reckon we can add something in Constrictor here. We're going to have something like tremolo, sustain, cluster swell here, maybe something. If we got crescendo. Yeah, that might work. A bit higher up. So there, I'm going to render that out again, delete all this. A lot of this is going to be rendering to audio. It's actually pretty much in time, I think that was, but we're just going to want that little moment there. So let's open this up, bring this down in the waveform editor just so we can figure out where we want it to be, which is pretty much there. That's just going to add a lot of sort of extra bite here. So
This is dark out to survive.
I'm going back to the console.
okay, let's have a little listen to what we've got so far. It's not completely there, but it's almost there. So
Very bizarre. What do you say, boss? All right. Moving on to second position.
What is it? Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on. No, will you say that again?
As you can see, there is a dark out to survive.
I'm going back to the console.
yeah, cool. We just need to sort of emphasize that swell a bit more, but I've got a couple of ideas on how to do that. I think we could also use a French horn. Let's maybe just use the Nucleus French horn here. No need to be... yeah, something like that's going to be cool, I think. Turn up a little bit. High breathy, fluty chords would have been a nice alien touch as soon as the frame shows the ship from the outside. That's a definite one that we could try. Yeah, maybe we should do that. Let's just go back a little bit and put these in. So...
Again.
As you can see, there is a dark out to survive.
I'm going back to the console.
yeah, nice. That's working quite well, I think. Let's now just soup all this up a little bit.
As you can see, there is a dark out to survive.
I'm going back to the console.
Yeah, that's cool. So let's really focus on getting this swell where we need it to be. It's all a little bit weak at the moment. Maybe let's just try something like that. This might work, it might not. Oh, we're going to want to make them sustain, not legato, otherwise we won't get both. Don't know if that's... Might be a bit too much because we want to kind of hold something back if we get later onto the scene.
I'm going back to the console.
Yeah, I think that's a bit too much. Maybe we could do a cluster here.
I'm going back to the console.
I think that works a little bit better. And we'll just bring them down a tiny bit. I think we really just want to push this stuff. So we can really bring that up a bit. I think. Yeah, and we'll really sort of swell into that point here. So grab this all the way up to here. Nice. Just grab this. And this can be even louder again, I think. So just go back to my, there it is. Make this really pretty loud, and then we'll just modify it as we need to. Yeah, that's a bit better, I think.
I'm going back to the console.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. It's getting there, certainly, I think. So let's just see what else we've got going on here in Constrictor. I think we can make this louder. I think we don't need to be shy about that sound effect, especially in the context of the mix. And this is another important thing, right? It's like stuff that may not sound right entirely by itself. We're thinking about how all this stuff works in a mix. You know, we're less worried about how it works. If you remixed it for soundtrack or something, we may do something totally different. But yeah, nice. I think that sounds better to me. And what we're going to want to do is, in this delay, I'm going to want to bring down the high filter, I think. So the delayed signal is more muffled, sounds more distant. Maybe even more than that. Am I choosing the right one here? Am I? Yeah. So that's better. That's better. We'll do the feedback. We'll bring the mix down a tiny bit, but do the feedback longer. We only go on for ages. Yeah, I think that's nice. That sounds pretty Jerry Goldsmith to me. So.
As you can see, this is
I'm going back to the console.
Nice. Now, I just think we need some kind of like a hit there, but I'm trying to think of what the hit might be, because we don't want it to be like a trailer hit, right? This is not a trailer hit kind of situation, I don't think. So maybe something like, I just open this. I'm reconstituting a lot of our templates here today, but that's fine. Go to Cerberus. We could do with some maybe clicks and clacks first, and then maybe we'll try those flutes. We're certainly going to get the high flutes in there, because I agree, Andy, they're an essential part of this kind of thing. But maybe let's not. Yeah. That is going to add a lot. Doesn't sound like much on its own, but I think it's going to add a lot of power. And what I'm going to do is mono delay, copy the mono delay over. So nice. And you know what? I might even try something like some kind of big distortion on this. That's cool, right? That's working. And then let's add the reverb. Yeah, that's nice. And I'm going to sort of play this in to try and give this a little bit of a humanism. So I'm just going to try and line it up with this point here. Bring this down.
The console.
Cool. Oh, that's quite nice, but obviously a bit down from that. Oh, and I know something that we're going to have to do here is change the sample start delay, because this is going to be different. These are 125. These are, oh no, they're also 125, but let me just see it. They sound a little bit out, so I'm just playing them early. It's just me playing bad. Hey Peter, how you doing? Doing a little bit of Alien rescoring today, just freestyling it. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's cool. Nice. Okay, so let's just go back a little bit, sort of see what we think of this build-up section, see if we want to add anything else. Then we'll try and go to the next section. We've got about an hour left or so, so we might as well keep going.
Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on.
Will you say that again?
As you can see, there's a dark.
I'm going back to the console.
Nice. Now I'm going to try one more thing. I am going to try a hit, but I'm going to try and process it in a way that this is not just a big hit. There's going to be a couple of hits I'm going to try. The first thing is I think we're going to want one of these. That one's cool. Uneven grounds. So we're going to want a sub hit. I like the way it's almost a bit distorted. It sounds like you were saying, Andy, it's like the cave or something, you know? Like it's almost like it's echoing around the cave. It's pretty gnarly. So I actually like that it rips the speakers up a little bit. Let's render that. Nice way just to line up these sub hits. And then we want those sub hits to be here, pretty much where our wide shot is. There we go. And then we just sort of blend them in. But that's going to add, the great thing about a sub, especially like a dirty sub like this, a distorted sub, is it's going to make all the stuff above it sound bigger and more kind of aggressive.
I'm going back to the console.
Yeah, nice. Let's go for it. Let's not be afraid of that sub. Yeah, I like it. And you know what? We might even use a bit of distortion on the sub as well. I really don't mind if it gets a bit crackly. Or maybe not quite that much, but you know, that's cool. So.
As you can see, there's a dark.
I'm going back to the console.
Nice, yeah. Without, see how much it's like adding. You don't even really realize it's there. That's fine. But then with the sub, or that tail, just helps everything else to kind of settle in. Nice, okay. And then we just take this, we expand it out, and we'll just sort of fade everything out, because around here, I think in the score the music disappears for a moment, and then it's going to reappear. Maybe it actually goes to here, I think. So maybe we'll just keep it going. But we're going to make it more minimal, I think, at this point. So what I'm going to do is grab this original piece of drone. I'm going to bring it across. I'm just going to do a little fade there. Yeah, this is cool. This is nice. I'm just going to keep the original of this going as well. So something like that.
I'm going back to the console.
Yeah, this is a nice little moment of kind of tension here. So again, I think we'll get another low brass in here. We'll just get a little one here. So let's just play it in.
I'm going back to the console.
Yeah, really subtle there. I just love the way they're just kind of poking out. I'm going to bring them up a little bit in the mix, but that's really cool, the way they just poke out. And maybe we'll do the same thing with these waves here. So maybe up. Yeah. Start getting more discordant here. I'm going to do the same thing. Just bring these up at this point. Just in volume, but not necessarily in intensity. Just really subtle. And then maybe we'll reintroduce those high strings. Just so we're going to take it up to here now. This is where I think we want everything to kind of just fade out. So that'll be the end of our first cue, and then we'll see if we can get anywhere further with the other cue. I think we'll have a bit of time to do something with it. So maybe just bring this in. We're going to be getting up to around here. So I'm not worried about fading and crossing these together because it's so subtle in the mix, you're never really going to notice that like this stuff is cross-faded and everything. And if we do, we'll fix it as we go. So just going to time this in.
Dallas.
So I think around there. What we'll do is we'll sort of fade that out. It's almost like we'll be asking the players just to play quieter and quieter, just so when we get to this shot here of the kind of, you know, the POV style shots, the music leaves, and that in itself is like an eerie thing, right? Because you're so used to hearing all this big bassy drone stuff. When the music leaves and you just get the kind of the sound of the wind and the echoing through this thing, that instantly makes you feel like you've entered a different space. So again, sometimes the absence of music is like equally kind of chilling. Alien's a perfect example of that.
Dallas.
So yeah, something like that I think would work really nicely. Thank you very much, Musics. I'm glad you enjoyed that challenge. Yeah, it was really good fun to do. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add in a few more of these bass swells, and I'm going to add in one at the end just to kind of see us out. So just after bar 49. So what I'm going to do is just bring that up here. Start. Let's have a look. Around here, I'm just going to free these in. It's fine. And you can almost maybe do this with players, right? Sometimes in Jerry Goldsmith scores as well, there's a lot of just instructions, you know, play the highest pitches you can, however you like. You know, that's in the scores, or play the lowest cluster you can, however you like. So some of this stuff is often impressionistic anyway. You just tell the orchestra in these 20 bars, play at roughly this speed or this pitch or this dynamic range or whatever it might be, and create these sounds. So we're riffing on that idea, really. That's what we're doing here today. Okay, so
Dallas.
nice. Okay, that's cool. What we're going to do is come down to our drone as well and keep that going, because we can't have the drone leaving. It's sort of the bedrock, exactly like you said, Andy. It's like that note is the note. It's that has to sort of gradually fade out, and that in combination with the strings is going to be where the eeriness kind of begins. And we're going to need to sort of transition that fade out. It can't just sort of fade out volume wise. There has to be something that happens, which I'll show you. I got some ideas what we could do this. So let's have a little listen to that.
Dallas.
Now we just get this breathing, right? It's like, it's really unsettling if that happens, because even if you don't know, just emotionally, psychologically, you kind of just know like, something's changed. You know, the absence of music is a really, I know as a composer it's kind of weird to be talking about the absence of music, but if you ever want to make your music stick out, know when to sort of end it, right? Because, you know, there'll be these moments where you can bring it back in, and we'll see. We'll maybe start the second cue, you'll see what I mean. I'm just going to copy and paste these over. It's lazy, but it's going to work because it's all atonal. We're not looking for any tones. We're just looking for stuff that feels weird. So that's going to help add some. Nice. What we're going to do here is we're going to keep this going, this timpani. Here it is, all the way up to around 49 here. I'm in the different studio, yes, yeah. So this week we're from the Audio Imperia studio. It's going to be something that happens semi-regularly. I don't think every week. Some weeks I'll be from my own studio, but yeah, we'll also do stuff here. And, you know, who knows if we ever have whatever it might be, special announcements or anything like that. Sometimes we'll work from here as well. So yeah, it's really cool. I'm here in lovely Wales. Well, I'm always in Wales, but I'm in Cardiff. Work harder, not smarter. Laziness is a myth. True, Freddie. Freddie's with us. Freddie's part of our team. Thank you for joining us, Freddie. And it's definitely true.
Dallas.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. We're going to want to bring that down before there, though. And we're just going to need some really, really sort of subtle, boomy sort of stuff going on just at the end here to sort of see us out. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. I'm going to see if this works. Just literally fade in this sub boom up to about this point and then fade it out. I think might work. Might be fine for us.
Dallas.
Yeah, that's nice because it makes this a little bit less conspicuous, I guess. So I'm going to bring this here. Make sure that's all done, and then really just bring this out very slowly. So by the time it's gone, you don't really realize it's gone. Something like that. Oh yeah, work smarter, not harder. I did notice that. That's what I thought you meant. Yeah, I'm definitely in the realm of trying to work more smart than I am hard. Sometimes you got to work hard, but if you don't have to, you don't have to. And again, if you're working as a professional composer, like, you might not have long to do a score, especially these days. So you have to pick and choose what cues you really need to save. Like if I was working on this cue, even in a real life situation, I would know that this was a cue to work smarter, not harder, as Freddie said, you know, because it's like, this is not the moment where you need to spend 3 days working on this cue. This is the moment where you can write 4 or 5 minutes of music like this in a day. You know, we're going to do hopefully about 1.5 to 2 minutes in 2 hours, and it's coming okay. It's by no means perfect, but like, this is kind of usable. And on a day like this, I might expect to write 4 or 5 or 6 minutes of music a day. But then if I was to score an action scene, I'd be lucky if I could get 1.5 minutes of music done on a day like that. So that's where you also have to balance things out, because there are cues or pieces in this where there's a lot more going on musically, and that would be a lot harder to work out, and we wouldn't be able to get much more than maybe 20-30 seconds done. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, nice, but we don't want to do that. I'm going to bring this down and just do this. There we go. That sounds a bit weird where it was. Okay, let's listen just back to this last few seconds of this sort of scene.
As you can see, this is our
I'm going back to the console.
You know what I'm thinking of just adding here? I don't know if this is going to work. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I love these little moments sometimes, right? If you get something like, let's just take the cello here, but let's turn it into, we have like an octave patch. I think in most of these, let's use the Jaeger one. Why not? We haven't used Jaeger today, I don't think so. Go to strings. Yeah, we've got this octave. Let's take a second to load up. So just this little moment of melody. Sometimes or not melody really, but like a little tonal moment. It might be too much. It might not work, but just something like that maybe, and we'll increase. Sometimes it just adds like a little foreboding. I don't think Jerry Goldsmith does this. I think he keeps pretty atonal and weird, but this might work. So maybe around. Just something like that, you know. Just something like that, I reckon. But we're going to get some reverb on that. It can't be too close. So, where is it? There it is. Let's try this reverb. We're just going to copy reverbs over. Yeah, I quite like that. So if I make that an octave lower a second. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to extend the range of this slightly. I think I can do this. I'm going to take this down to a B, so I can just hear a B there. Oh, I did highs, not highs, lows. Yeah. Something like that, I reckon. Just gentle. Let's just play it in live. I'm going to do this along with the dialogue. So I kind of want to hear how we can maybe fit this in some dialogue. So we have some here. Yeah, so maybe just before all that bit starts, or maybe just in between even. Let's just see if it works. This could be a bad idea, but you know, this is the great thing about working in a DAW. Yeah, I kind of think that works. And I think it's especially going to work if we just increase the swell and add woodwind to this, right? We're going to want to make this really kind of dark and weird. Woodwinds, low woodwinds have these great, awful kind of, almost like a sickly quality to them. So let's go down to our woodwinds. Let's use our bassoons. But you know what? Let's see if we can get an octave down on these. Let's go crazy. Yeah, let's just try that. Get that same reverb on. Oh, I can actually see where I was putting it. That would help. Here it is. They should add the Diaz eerie. Nice. And then I think we could literally just copy what we did up here. It's so subtle. Where did I even put it? There it is. Copy that. Grab. Copy on bar 27. There we go. But I think it's just going to help reinforce that line. But this is all subtle stuff, but I like it. I think it's going to work. Let's listen to it in isolation. Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. Bring it up a little bit. So let's listen without the vocals and just have a... It's just a little moment, right? It's like it's so almost inconsequential, but I think it just starts to introduce a different character at this moment, which is kind of cool. And we're going to do timpani roll here as well. No, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do it in here on our, here we go, our atonal percussion. We're going to keep that going as well, all the way through to around here, which at the end, this is going to come down pretty quickly around here. If I just go function, F8, bring this back up. I'm just going to want that to kind of swell there. Yeah, cool. That's kind of nice. I think that's kind of nice. And then right at the end of that little section, just add another subtle sub-boom. So it's literally going to be, oh, there we go. There, and just so we don't lose the tail of it there. Or quieter. Right, we'll turn it down in volume. Boom. Okay, I think that works, especially in the context, again, maybe not entirely in isolation, but in the context of the mix and the vocals. Let's just have a go back to the beginning of here.
What is it? Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on.
Will you say that again?
As you can see, this is our
I'm going back to the constant.
Yeah, I just want to maybe add like a weird synth at that point, right? I don't want this to be too melodic and like cheesy, you know. Just looking for some moment here, so a little synth might work. I reckon once from photosynthesis, we're going to get something nice out of there. A weird sound, right? That's all I can describe it as. Let's go pads. Let's just try barren rock. Ooh. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Let's distort that. Right, I'm going to put this over the top of, I'm going to use Destroyer. Yeah, that's cool. So this is just going to sort of blend that little string figure in without losing it completely. So let me just go back up, see where it is. There it is. Make that a bit bigger. See, I like it. It's a bit loud there, but I think that kind of helps to blend it in, right? Make it less obvious that it's a melodic line, but you still get something different happening there. Yeah, nice. I think that kind of works. Just looking for some unsettling kind of textures here. Just bring that G back a bit. It's not legato, so do that. Yeah, and then you know what? I reckon at this point, I don't know if this happens in the original, but we don't need to worry about that. I've got an idea here. It's this. If you ever just want to start adding tension without even really understanding what you're doing, maybe. No, that's too much movement. Maybe. I actually think the low. I think low. We don't want to go too high at the moment, but I think this is going to add a lot. Just kind of as we introduce that little string run or whatever you want to call it here, little string figure. Where was it? Here it is somewhere. So I can find it. There it is. So around there, we're just going to want to add. Yeah, nice. Something like that, right? We're gonna have to fade it in now, but it just adds, again, this is all about like Freddie was saying, it's like smarter, not harder. We're just trying to add really simple unsettling elements here and just tell a story with the music without sort of laboring any points. So something like this, I think. So I think that really just helps change the scene up here, but in a subtle way. We're not sort of adding anything major.
As you can see, this is our to survive.
I'm going back to the console.
Keep that going even longer, I think. Yeah, you know, we could really just keep that going kind of, obviously not indefinitely, but maybe up to here. And then bring some new element in here, but really subtle. So maybe just bring that like that. Let's have a listen just to that introduction part there. Where are they going to be? Where's my flutes? Are they there? Just something like that, I reckon. Right down the low flute range, so you barely hear them, they barely be audible, but I think it'll just be cool to add something like that. Yeah, like really subtle, right? We're not even going to lower than that. Just going to want to. And then, you know what? I'm hearing like maybe just really subtle clarinets here. Just to bring in a new texture that we haven't found. Again, you're never really going to notice it, but it's going to change the music slightly. It's almost like ambient music. If you've ever written ambient music, like to keep it evolving, but nothing ever happens. It's like a bit of a delicate art form. There's lots of new things coming in now, but you never really notice it happening. This is kind of the same. Something like that. I mean, they're not going to breathe forever anyway, so we're going to have to give them a little break. But something like that's kind of cool. I'm just going to back them off volume-wise a little bit at the end there as well. Yeah, just building lots of textures here, really. I like the way the music backs off here because you just get the breath, you know, and like you really want to focus on like just this weird, unsettling kind of raggedy breathing. I think that we should end around here for this scene. Just around here. So, oh no, we said we could, no, ignore me. Oh, we said we're going to end there, and that is the right place to end.
Dallas.
Just around there.
Dallas.
And I think in the original, I think you do get the sound of like a little bit of the wind noises and stuff here. So it's fine if the cue sort of ends here, because even though it drops it a bit empty in this, in the full sound design thing, I think it would be sort of nicely balanced. But let's just take a little listen to, and maybe do a couple more of these. I got one idea that I want to try. Some of these low horns, barely audible.
Dallas.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. And then one more thing I want to try here. I'm going to just extend that out a little bit because it's a bit too abrupt again now. Same with the drone. Just extend that out.
Dallas.
That's better. Cosmodium asks, what kind of genres or movie do you find easier to score? That's a good question. I actually really enjoy doing stuff like this, like, you know, alien, sci-fi, but kind of the darker, you know, weirder side of things. I always enjoy, because I feel like you can't do anything wrong. This is where you can be braver, because when you're writing really thematic music, it's like, you know, if it's not quite working because it doesn't move the way you want it to. I always feel a bit more confident making this kind of stuff, because you can't really go too wrong, and sometimes the weirdest things that you try end up being the best things. So stuff like this, I would, you know, if anybody ever gave me an alien film, I'd be very, very happy. I don't think it's going to happen, but, you know, you never know, do you, right? I have an idea here. I think just these women rises. Now, I love these are in chorus and in chorus effects. You can buy it separately as in its own module, but they're in chorus if you get full chorus. So cool. I think that we can just use these really subtly here. I'm going to record it out. And I'm going to show you where I'm thinking about putting this. But really quiet. So...
Is it a bad time to interrupt?
It's not a bad time. Ollie is with us.
Oh, I was so hoping to jump scare.
I can see you outside.
Oh, can you?
I can see you outside. Oh,
No.
don't want to do that.
It's sounding very cool.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, Ollie's been listening next door. Judging silently, I'm sure.
No, no, I've actually got real work to do. So.
Oh, yeah.
How far through have you got?
Not too far, about a minute and a half.
Now I'm not
or so.
in shot.
Yeah, about a minute and a half. Yeah, you're going to be in shot
I'm
this
gonna be
side.
like-
You might have to go
There we go.
above the
Hello,
book here.
everyone.
We had this elaborate plan to jump scare Adam. Yeah, it wasn't going to quite work. Plus, I could see Ollie's silhouette for like a full minute and a
Yeah, no,
half.
I was like, I'm
You need to
waiting
come-
until he starts.
You need to come through the window if you
want
want to jump scare. So
yeah.
I've got this idea. I'll show you what I mean. You can't hear this, can you now? That's the only thing.
I know.
You just have to trust that this is going to be cool. I hope it is. I think it's going to work. So I've got this idea to gently layer in. Don't worry. I need to move that. Make this quiet so I can see where the thing ends. You can turn it up a bit. I think it'll be fine. You might just hear a little bit of bleed vocal noise now, guys. Hello, mate. How you doing? Peter's saying, how you doing?
Peter, he's nabbed my desk. This is where I normally work every day.
I live here now. I've got a sleeping bag in the corner.
I just have to perch up in the staff room next door. No, our development studio is next door. For anybody who is wondering, so our development team that I'm actually working on as well works next door most days, and I just normally come in here and procrastinate, but I can't do that this afternoon.
No, I'm the one procrastinating.
Yeah, so you know he's getting paid to have fun with all you guys.
Yeah.
But it's been very fun. You
Yeah, it's
enjoyed
been
it?
really good. It's been really good. We're
Are
just
you
trying...
enjoying this stream? This type
What
of
is
stream,
it?
guys. We're trying something new this week, so
Yeah.
I hope you're enjoying it.
I think it's been going well. I think it's been good fun. Test stuff out.
Nice.
I'm going back to the console.
Yeah, I think that's going to
nice.
work. Bit later, bit later. Kind of want to hear them.
I'm going back to the console.
I'd love to, because
Yeah, that's nice. Have you got a surprise task for me, Cosmodium says? Probably. It'll be clean the bins. It'll be something like that.
Well, I made sure the cleaner didn't come in earlier.
She did actually come in.
She did actually come in.
She did. And I thought it was you. And I made like a kind of jump scare noise. And I realized it was her. And she looked at me very strange.
Oh, no.
Never mind. Bless.
Oh, no.
No, she
she
just
came
popped
in
in.
next door and I was like,
just
don't
popped
come
in.
in. And then maybe she'd already been in.
She grabbed the bins. Clean the bins now.
Yeah, and do these guys actually schedule a stream?
I think what we need to do is we need
to.
to exit the building, but through the vents, alien style, you know.
Yeah.
Going back to the
That looks sick.
Yeah, I like that. It's kind of not too loud. We don't want to really hear the vocal quality here. We just kind of want to get a cool little extra riser.
I'm going back to the console.
Yeah, that's nice. And I actually think
I'll let you into a secret, guys. I was in the sessions when we recorded Cause Effects, and we literally had to sing to the singers what we needed them to do. So it was just we did it remotely because we don't always get to sessions, and it was just a case of singing through Zoom.
I need to hear those
It's
sessions.
ridiculous.
You must have it. You
No,
must
we
have it.
didn't. Well, no, we
No.
didn't record me. I made sure that didn't happen. Anyway, I'll leave you to it.
No,
Nice
cool.
to see you all. We
Thank you,
might be doing a live sketch to score soon. If
Yeah.
anyone's interested, because that would be great fun, and you guys could give us advice on what to do. It's often when we do those, it's like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And it would be great to have a starting point.
Yes,
for people.
co-write. We're going to
So,
co-write with the community.
That'll
That's
be in
the way
a
to
couple of
go.
weeks. Yeah, great. See you
Cool.
soon. Well done, mate.
Thank you very much, Ollie. See you soon.
No worries.
Yeah, I like that. We're quiet, really quiet.
I'm going back to the console.
I wasn't there for those sessions. I think that was a little bit before I joined, but or maybe just after. But yeah, that would have been interesting to see Ollie giving it. Okay, let's listen to this whole thing, and then we'll maybe make a start on the second part of the queue. We're probably not going to get that far. We'll maybe go for another half hour or so, 20 minutes.
Very bizarre. What do you say, boss? All right. Moving on to second position.
What is it? Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on.
Will you say that again?
As you can see, there's been a cut.
I'm going back to the console.
Dallas.
Yeah, that kind of works. I think it needed a little bit of souping up and, you know, just fixing it here and there, but it's kind of working. I think we need a bit more of that. And there's one or two more things I want to add here, and then we'll just maybe see if we can start the next part. But it doesn't matter if we can't. We've just been freestyling today. This is almost like how you'd work as a composer, right? Like, we're just sort of working as we would if I woke up any morning and started composing for a score. Not every day wake up and start composing for a film like Alien, but, you know, I never got the opportunity. I kind of be working at this pace, really, and this might be one of the ones that I could get through a bit quicker, and then there'd be bigger score, you know, some more action-driven pieces or romantic-driven pieces. I think a bit more. So I'm going to maybe just add a little bit of kind of scattered harp here. And again, do you know what we're going to do? We're going to delay it. Right. This is a technique that someone like Jerry Goldsmith might have used, recorded the harp separate. Yeah, nice, something like that. So I think in the second half around here. So why don't we bring that little figure in? Yeah, so maybe somewhere around here. Yeah, I was not going to play that, but we'll play something cool. don't have. Do I have a sustain pedal? Oh, I do. I didn't actually realize. That's going to make everything sound a little bit better.
Dallas.
Nice. That's super subtle, that harp. You probably didn't hear half of it. And in a way, that's what I kind of want. I just want it picking away in the background there. So I'll show you. Did I actually record it? Or is that just... Yeah, I did. Like, it's all pretty on its own. Just really random, bad playing. But it's just punctuating these moments here and there. So let me just play you back sort of without the dialogue and stuff and just show you kind of what it's doing a tiny bit as well. Just adding this kind of texture and movement. Don't like that one. I knew there's one I didn't like there. It's just too high. You can just be like that. I mean, we're not worried about the texture or the notes again. At 105, so let's have a look, because we could maybe add that in. So we're thinking what, somewhere around here? Let's add it in, because I was actually thinking about both metal as well, so I'm glad someone else mentioned it. We do have some cool stuff here. Let me find... Let's just repurpose this mark tree. That we're definitely not going to have a mark tree in this, I don't think. That's a little bit too fantasy based, but got some cool bowed metal inside of Nucleus. Maybe we can treat it with some really big reverb. So I think it's going to be an atonal percussion. Yeah, there it is. So, well, if I can find it. Yeah, maybe the long one. Or maybe the... No, that one, I think. Yeah, it's that. It's that one, I think. Cool. I think it's going to work. I might put some shimmer on it and just see what we get. This is why I, going back to what Cosmodium said, this is why I really like just... You just can't really go wrong. Some things might not work and you might need to take them out or move them around, but you can't really go wrong. Any idea is a good idea. Let's have a little listen to what this sounds like. I think it could work. Let's listen to it in context. Might need to be quiet. Might need to be a bit, down in the mix so it doesn't sort of come out too much. Yeah, great idea. Just gonna turn that harp down a little bit. Yeah, and again, for that harp here, we're just gonna really want to bring down everything kind of here. We barely want to be sort of hearing it at this point. It's getting a bit too in your face. Maybe let's just do a little bit of EQ on it though. Maybe we can just sort of make it a bit more rumbly. Maybe get a best of both worlds. So it's this here. Let's find it. Where'd I put it? There it is. It's not actually a mark tree, but Okay, and you know what? That could be the way to take out this piece, because I still feel it's just ending a bit abruptly. So what we can do is increase the release here. Maybe down here. This might just be the way to sort of end it out. It's almost like radio static, right? It's kind of cool. So yeah, maybe not go on that long, but take it back. And yes, Cosmodium, I definitely think we should at least start the next queue. We've got about 15 minutes left. Start the next queue, and that's where I think we can get our lovely little flutes in, which I think we should definitely add. Nice. And let's put the vocal, or I keep saying vocals, it's not vocals, it's music, effects and dialogue.
Dallas.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Just a slight more smoothness on that fade out, just so we're not getting anything leaving too quickly.
Dallas.
Yeah, I quite like that. Just a bit of a weird sound to take us out on at the end. Just fade it in a little bit less. And then we're into this really creepy section. So, and this is where we get the start of that sound. So in actual fact, maybe if the sound starts around there, maybe we'll just extend that drone out a bit more and just sort of take the fade a little bit down like that. Let's just try that.
Dallas.
You have a low pass the filter and use envelope follow on the frequency cutoff. Yes, it's a really cool technique. And yeah, bode stuff is great for this. Yeah, nice. I think this looks better. Yeah, that's cool. I think that works a lot better. Okay, so what I want to do here is just see where we'd start the next cue. I think maybe...
Come on down here, something different down here. I don't know what it is, but... See if I can...
Yeah, so maybe around here, just I think just a few seconds of silence just to really get used to this place, and then maybe around the time we get to here, we just start our next cue. And I agree, Cosmodium, let's just do the classic here. So let's take our two flutes, duplicate them, take all this stuff off, which we definitely don't need, and then make sure that we're in the right octave here. Where are they? They're going to be... Yeah, nice. And we're going to take this off. Maybe we'll leave it on really gently, but we're going to want this. Something like that. Okay, and at this point we want to tempo map this, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna figure out where I want this to start, and I think I want it to start pretty much on that shot there. So I would tempo map from this point forward for sure. There. So this is pretty easy to do. I love audio follows and FX, especially adjusting the distortion amount and stuff. Yes, that's very cool too. Here we go. So there we go. I've got the tempo map here. I'm just going to bring it up though. So let me bring it up here. I've got it on the other screen, but I'll sort of show you what I do. So just to start this cue, I'm just going to put a little tick in here. If I want to start the cue here, right on this note here. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is put another in there. I'm going to find the exact change I want, which is there. So it's actually going to be that I'm going to make 1 bar of 1/4, and then back to 4/4. I think it's going to be in 4/4. Yeah, there. And then I'm just going to slow the tempo down so I get what I want. So it's right by there. I'll show you guys now what I'm doing. You can actually see it up here what I'm doing. Yeah. So yeah, right around bar 57 is where we're going to start on new queue. And I'm gonna want to get.
I'm going now. Bye.
Bye, Ollie.
Ollie.
Say bye. You probably can't see Ollie, but Ollie's off for the day.
Bye.
So I think I'm going to want to find a pulse here. And it's going to be something around 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's probably around 50, 60 maybe. Yeah, that's nice. So when we do our flutes here, yeah, nice. So that's what we kind of want. Now let's just get what we wanted to play. Or maybe something like, maybe just something like that. So what I'm going to do is just write that in just for now, make it easy. So yeah, I think that instead. Okay. Let's just see what that sounds like. Just literally as a starting point. Take that. Maybe more of that. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Do you know if there's a possibility to view a marker that when placed on the marker track on the MIDI clip piano roll of another specific or editing for reference? That I think is now possible in Cubase 14, but do I know how to do it? The answer is no, but I'm fairly sure there is a way, and I'll find out. And when we do our update to the Modern Composer Blueprint, which I'm really keen on doing, adding a few more bits to that, I will show you guys how to do all that. But I'm pretty sure there is now a feature for that in Cubase 14. Nice. That's our fairly typical, or not typical, but fairly classic alien sound. We're going to do the same thing in the Celeste, just to give it a little bit of, and we're going to push them back. Maybe an octave up, I'm not sure. They're going to be quieter though. I think I actually prefer them the octave down. So yeah, that's where they should be, I think. Nice. So cool. Okay, now I'm just going to find, I want to do some kind of pad here and then low strings, and this is going to be a little bit more tonal here, but still not too tonal. So let's find some kind of pad that's going to work. Let's just try, I quite like this Altair pad. That might be a little bit sort of modern sounding. That kind of sounds a little bit more weird to me. We're going to want to take the destroyer off here. Something like that, maybe. So Okay, so we're just going to write that in for now. And yeah, no problem, Cosmodium. Yeah, I think that would be a really great, because I know you've been asking for a while, and it's a really, really good point. We need to go through how you actually like time warp things and get everything working the way you want it to, use tempo mapping, etc. So we will definitely look to add something there, I think. I'm super excited about doing something with that. Okay. Let's just see what this sounds like. Nice, but we don't want to be too tonal, right? We don't want to ever make this sound too kind of lovely and balletic. We kind of want to always be a bit rough and ready here. So we'll do another 5-10 minutes or so. We're not going to finish this cube, but we'll get it started. Yeah, that's nice. And then I think let's maybe think. Let's see if we can use something in these cello cluster sustains, or not the cluster sustains, the normal sustains. We've got these kind of weird. Oh, that's all too intense. Maybe that noisy would be kind of cool. Something like that. Just write that in. Make sure we got the modulation kind of where you want it. Just sort of sketching this beginning in here. Yeah, that works quite nice. You know what? I think we can get our piano in here, but I'm gonna really push it back. Maybe 100% reverb here. Yeah, that's kind of cool. And in fact, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to use the room. Yeah, cello patches, that's a good idea, actually. And yeah, maybe let's get one of them in. Let's try that. So I'm just going to play in this little piano cluster to start this off with. But quieter. I'm going to put that down. Yeah, Jan's right, and the cello clusters have this great movement in them as well, like natural built-in movement. That's way too much, but just down low in the mix. A little bit lower than that, I think. Yeah. Nice, and then again, same thing here. Oh, don't want to change that. 1 second. Change that back to sustains. Maybe we'll just get a really nice low. We kind of want some tonal focus to this now, I think. So we'll just write that in as a starting point. Then we'll take a look at these cello textures that we have in photosynthesis. Yeah, that's cool. We need a bit more there, but that's kind of where we're going with this. Okay, let's duplicate this and just get some cello textures in. I think there's some really good ones in here. So photosynthesis, you can see we've got this mystic cello, which may work. We've also got the organic and processed stuff. Let's try the mystic cello. Cello freebode sulpont, cello chaos. I don't think it's going to be chaos. It's too tentative. These could be good. Let's try tentative. Oh, nice. Listen to that. That's cool. I'm just going to literally play that over. Let me just very quickly increase the volume of those a little bit. And then we can always blend them in, you know, once we sort of got something going. So I'm gonna add that as a layer, I think. And then Jan's writing me instructions that I'm going to follow to take this piece out. I'm going to put that in just as layer to start off with. Quiet. I like the movement of this though. Just keep that going for now. We're just trying to get this first couple of bars going. Let's duplicate this. I'm not going to worry about labeling stuff. I would do if I was working on a project, but you know, as I'm just getting stuff in, let's see. So photosynthesis. Let's try. So we're talking about these soul G's and things. So yeah, we've got the G strings, these harmonics. Oh, that's cool. Oh, we've got the sulpon. Yeah, maybe let's try. Let's just, I'm gonna have an idea here. Not sure if that's gonna work. Let's just try this as a real subtle texture though. Right, let's just try putting this in. We'll sort of fade it in. And they just go on forever, but we won't worry about trying to get this whole thing done. We're just going to sort of make a start on this piece here. We've got our classic alien sound in there. Okay, let's just have a listen to sort of the last bit of this. Bring this back up, listen to the end of the cue and then the start of the next cue. Just see what we think, if we sort of got the right vibe here. So I'm going to go back a little bit.
Dallas.
Yeah, we sort of want a little bit, just a gentler start there, right? We don't want it to be too kind of like straight in. So I'd come to our flutes, make them a little bit quieter, velocity wise. We almost barely don't want to sort of hear it coming into. I don't think we want the boom. Here's where, as you watch things back, you begin to realize. Yeah, nice. And then I think we'd want to sort of bring that in really quietly. So we're probably going to want it to be virtually non-existent at the beginning. And maybe over the course of R1, we sort of bring it in. Something like that. I mean, let's just see if we take it out, because maybe that's too tonal at the beginning, too much. Yeah, you know, maybe we just want to do this kind of thing. Yeah, maybe this is all too tonal. Maybe we do start just real basic and minimal, you know. So yeah, take that out. I think that's better. Start just really subtle. Then maybe we just back off that cello at the beginning. Maybe find a slightly different version, something we could use here. So get the cello in, but not quite so much movement in this beginning part. We've got the free bowed, we've got the free bowing here. Maybe we just do soft warbling. Let's just try that. That's kind of cool, right? A bit louder, but that's going to kind of work, I think. I like that. It's really unnerving, right? That's the one, I think. Something like that, yeah. I think that would work. And then we probably just bring something like the drone back, just to give it some familiarity. Maybe that'll work, but quieter now, because we're going to have it more orchestral. Yeah, that's quite a cool sound. That just kind of really unsettles that first section. And it's cool not to be using something from Constrictor, because I love Constrictor, but it's like, it's great to hold back, use some of these more kind of subtle solo weird effects. Yeah, I think we want that back, but it's going to be quiet now. So maybe we'll start a little bit sooner there. That's fine. We can sort of cross fade that in. Let's have a listen. C, E, and then an A flat and a B. Let's just see. Let's just have a little listen. Maybe we won't have time to put it in, but let's just give it a go and see what we think. So let's go back to our flutes. So maybe something more like a... I can find them. So a B flat. That's a cool sound. I would maybe add that in like a second. So what are we playing here? And leave it like 4 bars. Something like... That's kind of cool. I quite like something like that. Maybe something like that would work. Let's just leave it in for now. Like I said, we're not going to finish this cue. We're going to go do 2 more minutes or so. But maybe, and just bring those roughly there. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Okay, let's just have a little listen to what we've got. I think you're right. Now you're saying it, I'm hearing maybe something similar to what you're saying, but where is our flute here? Oh, we need to glue it all together. Then it should appear. There it is. Hearing maybe that. And I think as a final thing, we're just going to want to put our cluster back in there. This. If I can find it. We've got the volume down, that's why I'm not finding it. There. But I'll bring it down in volume. Just keep that going. Worry about that when we get to it, but that's kind of working. And I just want to bring in, I want to start bringing in the brass swells more earnestly here. So we've got this. Just make sure I'm in the right one here. Yeah, that nice F minor with the E sounds really cool. And I'm going to bring them in with the trombones, and then we'll call it a day, I think. So we're going to... Nice. And then we're going to do the same thing with these. Yeah, we're going to start to get some movement into this now. It's a shame we can't keep going, but maybe we'll keep on with this another time. So yeah, nice. This is going to start to sound good, I think. Right, you can start to hear the movement in this now, really. Okay, and I'm just going to do... Yeah, I'm just going to bring that in on those notes. Nice. Okay, I'm just going to bring that back to the beginning, and then we'll sort of call it a day for now. Like I said, we're definitely not finished, but we've got something kind of working, and we've got... How many minutes have we got into this? 2 minutes. I mean, if I was doing a full day, maybe 8 to 10 hours, maybe even 10 to 12 hours, depending. At this rate, we could probably get maybe 4 to 5 minutes of music done. That's pretty good going. Again, like I said, this kind of music's easier than if you're doing big thematic stuff, but you sort of, you know, in a film score, you'll have a bit of both. You'll have some underscore like cues where you can write a bit faster, maybe 3 to 5 minutes of music a day, maybe even a bit more, than other cues where you can maybe only get 1 to 2 minutes of music done. Okay, let's have a listen just to the whole piece up to this point. We didn't get, in fact, and one more thing I am going to do. This is what I want to do. Where is my timpani? So actually, I'm going to do it here, I think. I'm going to want the hits, so they're going to be down here. Down. Yes, something like that. I just want to start to get like a bit of tension pace into this with like this constant low. So you see what I mean? But obviously quieter than that. That's too much. But almost like a low pulse into this. Nice. Okay, that's kind of coming together, I think. Something like that. Let's listen to the whole thing. And I'm just going to make it a little bit louder for you guys. I think I should be able to do that. Let's just see. Make everything a little bit louder. That should be fine. And we'll listen to the whole thing. To score an entire movie, it really depends. I've heard of composers having to work under very big deadlines of like 2 or 3 weeks. That's probably an extreme case, but there was the famous case of Troy. James Horner did the whole score in 2 weeks. I have a feeling King Kong, James Newton Howard, did the whole score in maybe 2 or 3 weeks. That's the extreme. I would say on the other end, you get some composers like Howard Shore with Lord of the Rings, or maybe John Williams with Star Wars, that gets more like 3 to 6 months, or even 6 to 9 months, or even a year or so in the case of Howard Shore. Most composers, I'm going to say these days, 12 weeks, maybe if you're lucky, 8 weeks, you know, and then it depends if you've got a team. If you're working in a big team, might be even less than that if you're divvying the scores up. But the deadlines are pretty tight. Unfortunately, it's not a easy pace thing. These days, I think you'd be very lucky to be getting 12 to 16 weeks. That's kind of a luxury. And some people are getting 6 to 8. And if you're coming on last minute, it might be 2 to 4 weeks. Yeah, that's exactly what Jan's saying, you know, and it all depends. Again, it depends when you come onto the project. And why you come onto the project. If you're replacing a composer, which sometimes happens, you might have much less time. If you're coming on something like a Lord of the Rings or a Dune, where you might be getting on really early, you might have a lot of time. I'd say generally speaking, the more time you get, the more you can do something kind of nice and really think about the music. But you don't always get that luxury. So it really just depends where you're at, I guess, and why you're coming on board, who you're coming on board for. Yeah, it can be quite variable. But I think Jan's right. Yeah, around sort of 2 to 4 months. That's going to be the 8 to 12 weeks kind of mark, maybe 8 to 16 weeks. Okay, so let's have a little listen to this. See what we've got. I'm going to make this maybe half size, maybe make it a little bit bigger. So we can just sort of see this.
Very bizarre. All right. Moving on to second position.
What is it? Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on.
Will you say that again?
As you can see, this is our
I'm going back to the console.
Dallas.
Okay, there we go. A bit rough at the end, and there's some places you definitely need to kind of fix things up and you could improve things. But for 2 hours work, kind of from nothing, I think that's pretty good going. Obviously, we're kind of sticking fairly close to the musical language that Jerry Goldsmith uses, so it's not exactly completely original, but you know, we've got some good stuff going. I think Constrictor and Poseidon are godsends for this kind of music. You know, even though Poseidon is designed as a really beautiful waves library, and it is a beautiful waves library, if you want to get all this kind of stuff going, you know, or like if I just grab maybe the waves hit, all these nasty clusters, pure cinema. Listen to that. Just grab any clusters, get the waves on them, combine that with a bit of Constrictor, and you got instant kind of dark sci-fi, you know, real good old-fashioned horror sci-fi scoring. Yeah, so Constrictor and Poseidon are really great for this, and then Photosynthesis just got so many great sounds in there that you can never fail to find something useful. Bit of Nucleus in there as well, just for the percussion, the woodwinds, some really nice stuff in there. And we've mangled them up a bit, so we've got these kind of weird sounds like this solo bassoon turned into this weird, unsettling, odd kind of sound. And then we did the same thing with the flutes. We added some shimmer reverb and made them sound pretty weird too. All kind of techniques that Jerry Goldsmith used to use. And then, yeah, of course, we got these great, you know, lovely big chords. So cool. Cool. So, yeah, I think this definitely would need a bit of refining and work. You know, if we were using like a spotting sheet and working with the director and stuff, we might have had more of a finessed idea of how to approach this. But for 2 hours work from a cold open, I think we came up with something pretty good. Thank you for all your suggestions as usual. Amplified the piece a lot. And yeah, it'd be cool to maybe carry this on or, you know, take it a bit further and then show you guys where we got to. I'm going to head back to just chatting. We shall spend a couple more minutes talking and then we shall wrap up. Awesome. That was really good fun. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you, Jan. It's you know, it's all down to Constrictor, just those really cool clusters and things, just keep things popping along. And yeah, definitely smoothing it up, I think. But as a kind of rough idea, that would be good. Probably come back after a bit of a break and listen to it again and just tuck and nip things or nip and tuck things around and just get them all sounding a little bit more, you know, kind of nicely put together, maybe finesse things. But as a rough idea for like a two-minute scene, we pretty much got things going. And I think if we were doing a full day from like a, you know, 9 till 6 or whatever it'd be, we could probably get maybe 3 to 4 minutes of music done like that, which would be pretty good going. Thank you very much, Sonic Satsu. I'm glad you found it useful. Glad you guys enjoyed it. We will be back next week. I'm not sure whether that will be here or back at my place, but it will be somewhere. And I'm not sure what we're doing either, but whatever we're doing, we're going to be having some fun, doing some composing or some mock-ups again. As always, if you're in our Discord, let us know what you'd like to see. We do take everything on board. And also you can put it in the comments below if you have ideas. And if you're not on the Discord or you're not subscribed to us, make sure you do, because we'll be releasing videos and we'll be putting stuff in the Discord every week. I'm uploading the MIDI files that I do for this stuff to our Discord. They won't be an absolute perfect representation of what we do on the stream, because they'll be missing some plugins and audio, but there'll be a good starting point if you guys want to open up what we did and just have a look and dig around and use the libraries and come up with your own sounds and ideas and expand stuff. You're more than welcome to do so. Less is definitely more with this style, I agree. Yeah, especially with these kind of cues, just subtle tension, nothing too much. You don't really want to ever have the music draw attention to itself, apart from maybe one or two key points, and then it really leaps out at you. Cosmodium, thank you very much. Thank you very much as well, Cosmodium. Yes, thank you for joining us as always. And as I say, I do want to try and maybe put some stuff about the tempo mapping into our Modern Composer Blueprint. I'm not sure when, but it'd be great to just maybe add some extra elements around that, give you guys a bit more focus in terms of how you actually score things and put scenes together and stuff like that. This is the Coursera of music. That's what we're hoping for. Yeah, we're hoping to give you guys everything you need and just show you the libraries as well. Of course, as I said at the beginning of this is all using libraries that are available in the Anniversary collection. But we also have other bundles as well, having a huge sale at the moment to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. So if you guys are on the hunt for some sample libraries, whether the ones you've heard today or other ones, do check out the Audio Imperia page, because it's, I'm biased of course, but there's some great collections on there, and really great prices as well for what you get. So do go check it out. The link is in the description below. So thank you for joining me for my first ever stream from this studio. It's always a bit nervous when you're somewhere new, but we didn't have too many teething troubles, which is good. And this was Cubase. This is Cubase 14 in particular. We've been talking about maybe working in some other DAWs as well, maybe just to mix things up. And if you guys use different DAWs, maybe it'd be nice to see how we do different things in different DAWs. So at some point in the future, maybe we'll look into using some other DAWs and giving you guys a bit of a taste of how you might compose inside different DAWs and use different workflows. Thank you. Yes, there's loads of good stuff. Like I say, I am biased, I know, but I really recommend you go check it out because it's a great sale. Thank you, Phil. Thank you to everyone for joining me. So next Tuesday, we will be back. I'm not sure what we'll be doing, but if you have any ideas, do let us know. Until then, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, have a great day. If you compose anything and you're in our Discord, put it in the self-promo chat. We always love to hear what you're doing. And there's been some really cool stuff. And if you've been doing any alien style underscore, pop it in there, or anything else, because we want to hear. Sonic Satsuma says, finished on my AI collection with the full bundle. No regrets. I've deleted loads of Spitfire stuff to make space for. Well, thank you very much for your vote of confidence, I guess. I really always love to hear when people are using Audio Imperia stuff. And yeah, as I say, hopefully a lot of people are picking up stuff in this bundle or this sale, all these different bundles, and love to hear what you do with it, because we've heard some incredible stuff over the last few weeks. We'd love to have a session with key people from Audio Imperia 2, interviews, etc. Absolutely. I think it'd be great to have some of the other guys in front of the camera. Some of them might be a bit camera shy, but some of them are definitely not camera shy. So we'll try and get some sort of interviews and other people involved in the streams and the videos, and some guests too, hopefully at some point. We've obviously had Tristan, and he's done a great course for us, crafting the score. Again, link below. Incredible course if you want to learn about orchestration, and I hope we'll have more guests at some point too. Adam is key people. We're such a small team. We are a very small team, so there aren't that many of us, but unfortunate that Audio Imperia shortens to AI. Yeah, I know, we've discussed that too, but this is the opposite of AI. This is all about humans making music for sure, and that's why we wanted to do the streams, not literally because of AI, but because it's so much fun to write with people, to hear what other people are doing. For me, the biggest joy of music is kind of knowing that there's a human on the end of it just doing cool stuff because they want to. So AI by name, but definitely not AI by nature. Very much human driven. Such a lovely team making great labs. Thank you, Cosmodium. I really appreciate that. And yeah, they are a great team. I'm really fortunate to be a part of it all. And as I say, we'll try and get maybe some more of them in front of the camera. Okay, I'll leave maybe 30 more seconds. If you have any questions or anything you want to say, feel free, and then we'll do a wrap up. But yeah, always happy to answer questions or anything that you have that you want to ask? Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any housekeeping or anything that we need to do. I don't think so. I think I've pretty much wrapped everything up. So I will say goodbye in a few seconds, unless anybody has any last minute things they need to say. And then we'll head home. Got to drive home now. Might get something to eat on the way. It's getting a bit dark now as well, which is always a shame. The end of summer, you know, it's like it's only 6:30 here, but it's already looking like evening. So it'll be an evening drive home. It's not too far from me, thankfully, so that's good. Okay, guys, I will say goodbye to you all now. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always great fun. I will be with you next Tuesday. I'm not sure what we'll be doing, but whatever it is, I hope we'll have as much fun as we did this week. Until then, have a great week. Happy composing. I will see you guys soon.